Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you need a website, head over to squarespace.com/PaulMessner for a free trial. In this video, we're going to be taking a detailed look at the Tarptent Scarp 1. I'll tell you the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like so much. So the first thing you might notice is that it's quite a hefty pack size, but it only weighs in at 1.47 kilos, which is about 55 ounces. It's a one-person, four-season tent, so we'll get it pitched up and we'll take a look around. The stuff sack is made of the same sil nylon as the fly, so it's a single pole hoop tent, and these are 9mm Eastern poles. Comes supplied with 6 stakes, which are also manufactured by Eastern, and a little sil nylon pouch to store them in. So the pole sleeve is nice and bright, so you can't really get it in the wrong place. And then once you've passed the pole through, there's a small pocket where the end goes in. Then just add a bit of tension. And it's exactly the same at the other end of the tent. So once you've fed your pole through, there is tensioning tie on here, so you just pull this down and that locks everything in place. So the ends of the tents have got built-in poles. These look like they're made of carbon fibre, but I'm not sure, to be honest. There's actually 5 pole sections in each end. They're extremely light, but this is what makes the tent really robust. So once you've got your basic structure set up, you can add a little bit more tension just using these tensioners here. Very good looking tent in my opinion. Very solid. So there are some tie outs here for additional guy lines. Surprisingly, these didn't come with the tent, so I've had to fit them myself. And considering this tent in this form is $359, I think that it should come with guy lines. So as I've already mentioned, this is a 4-season tent, so it does come down pretty much to the ground. There are no skirts on the bottom though. If you doubt its 4-season capability, then check out Murray's videos, Scotland's Mountains. He's had this up in some really torrid conditions. So there are additional tie-out points. Again, I've had to put this guy line on myself, but if you get this up with a trekking pole, it just gives you that little bit more room inside. So the ventilation options in this tent are brilliant. So you can have this closed, or you can open it up, and then some little bungees on here which you can connect onto there, and that gives you loads of ventilation. It's the same on both sides of the tent, so you can get really good airflow in the Scarp one. So you can also have more ventilation by slackening off this little tie, lifting this up, and then there's a bungee cord here which clips onto a little hook at the back, and that gives you a superb airflow. There's vents at the top on both sides, so this is a two-way zip, so you can have as much or as little space there as you like. So this tent has attracted a huge amount of interest. In fact, one of the videos has got over 100,000 views since I put it on my Squarespace website. So if you don't know who Squarespace are, it's a one-stop platform where anybody, even me, can easily build a website of their own. They have ready-made templates, so all you got to do is add your own photos and text, and they also do automatic search engine optimization, so your website can be found easily on Google. So if you want a website of your own, so you can share your videos blog posts or your photos, then head over to squarespace.com/Paul Messner. You'll get a totally free trial and 10% off your first purchase. So now let's take a look inside the tent. There is acres of space in here. So I keep calling it the Scarp 1. However, you can, if you're friendly, fit 2 people in here. So you can increase or decrease your vestibule size by sliding this like that. But that also makes your inner larger if you want to fit 2 sleeping pads in there. There's a huge amount of space to do all your cooking, and with it being 2 doors and vestibules, room to store your gear or for your partner or mate to get in from the other side. So Tarptent do 2 types of inner. I've gone for the solid inner, which is more 4-season for the UK, but you can get just a mesh inner if you want to use it in the summer months. There is no seam mesh at the top though, so you get plenty of breathability whilst keeping all the midges and mosquitoes away. So my head is right at the end there, and that's how much room I've got. So I've probably got 1.5 foot at the other end. So if I move over a little bit, you can see that there's plenty of room at the side. So there's the meshing. There's a little hook for your lantern, and then there's these little triangular mesh pockets. To be fair, these are okay, but I think they'd be better if they were a bit deeper, so things can fall out of there. The floor is really slippy though, so there's a few times that if I'm not perfectly flat, the sleeping pad just tends to slide on it. So I need to get myself some silicone strips on here. So all the zips run really well, however you do need 2 hands sometimes. And there's 2-way zips on both doors. There's great headroom inside, so this is perfect, I reckon, if you're a little bit taller. So one thing you do need to know is that none of these edges are tape seamed, so it does require seam sealing. Same again on all of these little tie outs. I'll show you what these are for in a minute. So I paid $30, I think it was, and got Tarptent to seam seal it for me in the factory, and they've done a really neat job. You can hardly see where it's been done. So far I've told you quite a few things that I really love about this tent. It is 4-season, it's pretty lightweight, and there is loads of space inside. I love the fact that it's a 1-person tent and you can actually get 2 people in it. Normally a 1-person tent is basically a coffin. This is far from that. It is incredibly spacious. I also love the amount of options that this tent has got. So there's ventilation options on each side, there's movable vestibules, and you can alter the inner size. And although this tent is incredibly sturdy, you can make it even more robust. So I also purchased the additional cross poles. So these do add an extra 400 grams or something to the weight, and I've never actually used these yet, haven't felt the need. But if you're going somewhere where you're going to be snow loading or the winds are extremely high, these are a great option. So I mentioned these little tie outs, so now you're going to see what these are for. You may have to bear with me, I've never actually set this up, but it looks straightforward from what I've seen. So the first job is to pass your poles through this loop on the top of the tent. And then there's a little Velcro strap on here, if I can get it open. Pole goes through there, and then each corner has one of these eyelets that the end of the pole fits into. You can then bend your next pole down, put that through the eyelet, and hold it in place with a Velcro. And now I can clip onto these poles, a bit like I do on my Hilleberg, and then you can tighten these up, and then repeat the process on the other pole. You can tighten these up, and that adds a little more tension. These tend to pull out a little bit, and now your tent is actually solid as a rock, and you've also got some more room inside because it's lifted up the outer fly a little bit. So one other thing that this does is it makes the tent now fully freestanding. So I could take out the pegs, pick up the tent, and just take it to wherever I wanted, fully assembled. So as you can see, it's quite windy out, nothing major, but the tent is not actually moving at all. This is awesome. Let's have a quick look inside, see how much extra space we've got. So it hasn't really pulled up the inner too much at all, but there's a lot of extra space between the fly and the outer. So this is going to be good for ventilation and condensation. So in 2019, Tarptent made some improvements to this tent. So they added an extra guy out point in here to give you more stability from side winds. They made a few extra tweaks here and there, but one thing that I don't like so much about the tent is these, for tying out. I much prefer a bungee and a toggle. These little Velcro things, for a $400 tent, they should be better. And this one inside, it's literally 2 bits of bungee cord that you have to tie in a knot. But that's something that I could alter myself by putting a toggle or something on there. And the only other minor gripe that I've got is the pack size. So all these structural poles that are in the corners, they mean that I can't squash the tent down incredibly small. But I'm happy to live with that, and I knew about it before I bought the tent. But I do normally like to keep my poles and my tent separate so I can get it a lot more compact. So that is the Tarptent Scarp 1. Suppose I better get it packed up and get it home and dry it out. Let me know in the comments below if you've got one of these tents and what you think of it. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.